Hello, everybody. It is January the 6th, 2023. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New
Welcome
Year.
to another episode of AMA Air. Lee, tell us who we got on the air today.
You know, we got a good friend of mine. He's got a good friend of yours. Fitz Walker's on the show. It's going to be a fun show. Let's get started.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of AMA Air, the first one of 2023. I am your host, Matt Ruddick. Lee, Ray, over here to my, my right, if we're looking at it that way. Welcome to the show, Lee. Thanks for being here with me.
Happy New Year again, Matt. It's good to have the show back on the air. You survived the little winter flood that came down from the north. I was traveling when that sucker came down. I was in Colorado. So I will tell you, I was a little concerned because the day before we left town, all the roads were closed. So I'm just glad to be back in Houston.
Yeah, well, we had that cold snap come through that, it dropped, I want to say like 20 degrees in a matter of an hour. It was kind of crazy and got down to like 0, maybe -5 at the worst, I think, which I know for some of you out there, it's like, well, big deal. We get that every year. I don't deal with that every year. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and later in the show, we'll talk about the winter cold and flying because, again, it's New Year's and we had some clubs respond to our New Year flying stuff. We'll tack onto that a little later, but people still fly in this mess. I can just tell you a little secret. I don't think I told you, but when we went to Colorado for family vacation, my oldest brought his little UMX Timber. And we learned the definition of density altitude because at 10,000 feet in the cold, I mean, that plane was full throttle and the batteries were half-life and it's very interesting. So, talking with my boss, Rob, I was like, this is kind of a great story we should share either in model aviation or just in general. It's like how many people who fly RC go from such great altitudes, thin air, and back to sea level, go back and forth. But it was a significant change for us sea level Texans.
Wow. Yeah, I'll be interested to read that article, Lee. Let me know when that starts coming around.
Okay.
How was the rest of your holidays? Was it pretty good?
It was good. Hey, I got a Christmas present. Yay! I got me the new E-Flight UMX Twin Otter. I've already flown it. Can't say I've landed it very well, but I have taken it in the air. I am a big fan of their 1.2 meter Twin Otter. I've got 2 of them, and they're just a blast to fly. So when they came out with the UMX, it's like, God, I have to have that. So my wife, thankfully, she read my Christmas wish list, and I got that bad boy with floats. So I will hopefully have some more video and content with that coming up soon.
Awesome. I'm excited to see it. That's awesome news. I did not, unfortunately, get any model airplane related Christmas gifts.
Did you get other good stuff like goodies?
I mean, I did.
The bourbon?
No.
Oh. Okay.
I did get a new guitar, but I'll save that for a whole other episode because we got a whole lot we got to get to today. We've got a super awesome guest coming up. Fitz Walker is going to join us here in just a few minutes. But first, I know that you guys probably saw this. I certainly did. There was some rumor and innuendo and conjecture that was floating around social media over the last 2 or 3 weeks, certainly over the holiday break, about SIG Manufacturing. And there were some rumors going around that their building was up for sale and people were concerned that maybe they were closing. There is an official statement put out and to put everybody's minds at ease. Lee, do you want to kind of share with the viewers what that statement is?
Yeah, I'll just make it real quick, and I'll say, Matt, I don't know if you noticed how many likes and hearts and appreciations and good comments, warm fuzzy comments we got on our post, resharing this from Herb Rizzo, but the statement had come out or a post came out of like an ad or a real estate ad listing for the shop, and people were going, oh my God, the SIG's closing down. We didn't know either. But it turns out the good news is, and this is on their website, sigmfg.com, that they are moving their facility. I think they're just downsizing a little bit. And he also mentioned modernizing, so that's good. But I think it's close to my heart because a lot of models I've flown in the past have been SIG. I still have a SIG control line plane that I'm building in honor of my dad. One of my first glow engine planes was a SIG Cadet. So SIG is special to a lot of people, but we've just got so much positive responses that Herb is, keeping it alive. And I hope that all of you that are listening and have that love for balsa kits and the history of SIG will go and support him once the shop comes back up online. Very good to hear. And again, as I said, it's just been wonderful, positive feedback that the business is still around.
Yeah, I mean, SIG is such a huge player in the hobby, and I certainly got nervous when I first saw that post that kind of started making the rounds. I was like, oh no, that can't be right. And I knew that so Jay Smith, our executive editor of Model Aviation and Park Pilot magazines, just took a trip over to visit the fine folks at SIG, and there is our January issue of Model Aviation magazine. You should be getting that in your mailboxes. If you haven't gotten it yet, it should be any day, but you probably should have gotten it by now. A whole article in there about the SIG fly-in, and Jay got to interview Hazel Sig-Hester, who has just turned 100 years old, one of the co-founders of SIG Manufacturing. So that's an awesome article. I would encourage you guys, rather, to go check that out as soon as you get the chance. And yeah, it's good to see that they're alive and well, and SIG Manufacturing lives on.
Yeah. Thanks, Herb.
Yes, exactly. So let's bring Fitz in, shall we?
Are we switching gears?
I didn't say it. I didn't say it. You can't prove it. Fitz, you've changed, sir.
Why, thank you. How do you like the look?
Oh, boy. Yes, switching gears. Dylan's in the house. Thanks, Dylan, for giving me the hashtag. That's excellent. He's still producing remotely.
Yeah, exactly.
Fitz can't see because he's blocking his view, but Fitz, show your face. Oh, gosh.
Fitz Walker, he is a columnist for Model Aviation. He's also better known as the Hobby View channel on YouTube.
Yeah, he's a dear friend.
He's a dear friend and co-host. And he's a co-host of the RC Roundtable podcast
really?
as well.
Is that him? Is that the guy?
Well, who walked in?
I mean, I don't know about those other guys, but Fitz is a pretty awesome host. So,
yeah.
Well, thanks, Matt. I guess the check cleared, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I do have control. I could take Mac out of this show, but it'd just be you and me, Fitz. But no, I'll jump in real quick because I'm actually going to probably step back. This is a first. Fitz has not sat in with Matt in a discussion. We've had Fitz and I have been on AMA Air before, and actually the Roundtable guys did a takeover for New Year's. I guess it was last year. Or 2 years ago, rather. So the fun here is that it's the beginning of a new year. Obviously, Fitz and I do a lot of work together with RC. He's very active with Model Aviation magazine, and we just thought we'd get the ball rolling for 2023 and have Fitz and Matt chat for a while. And I know there's going to be some show and tell later, so there you go.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Matt Lee. Thanks for inviting me on to this glorious show. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to the interrogation that I'm subjected to.
It's all Matt.
I won't bring the waterboard out. Okay, we'll keep it. We'll keep it civil. And Lee, I don't want you to completely bow out of the conversation. I hope you.
This is live, folks, and that's my buddy Fitz. I don't know if he dropped something, but he's smiling. So yes, he's smiling. We can always rewind later, but
so I just want to let everybody know that the gravity is fully functional here in the Fitz Walker's workshop.
I will chime in, Matt. You mentioned earlier, Fitz and I, if you're not familiar with us, we do have a show called RC Roundtable podcast. And lately we've been switching it over to do recordings on YouTube and keeping the audio on podcasts. So we've been doing more and more live shows. We had one last night that ran 2 hours, and it probably been more than that because I think post-show we were still hammering away. So we get to chat with each other a lot. So that's why I'm saying I'll step back because maybe I've had my fill of Fitz in the last 24 hours.
Saturated.
And not to mention, we're going to talk about something we're doing tomorrow. So anyway, I hope. Yeah. And by the way, the three of us are having a great time right now. I'm following the comments. If you guys have any questions for Fitz or for Matt or myself, start putting them in there, and we'll shoot them out there too.
Yeah, please do. Please definitely drop those into the comments. Well, Fitz, I guess the first thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is, you're a regular contributor for Model Aviation magazine as well as Park Pilot. I know that in the upcoming issue of Park Pilot that should be hitting mailboxes about any time right now, or will be later this month, I think, actually. Don't quote me on that. It's I think it's the winter issue. You've got a review in there of an aircraft that you got to take out and kind of mess around with. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, in fact, I got it right here. It's called the RadioLink A560, if I recall. And it's an interesting model because when you get it, it comes in this wonderful carrying case. And this is I don't know what material it is, but it's got a strap here. Let me step back from the camera a little bit. And so it's basically a portable, assemblyable park flyer / indoor flyer 3D aircraft. Let me show you here. And wow. This is it inside the carrying case. It really fits really neat in there. There is a transmitter here on the side. There's chargers. There's battery spots for the battery. The wings are underneath, and it's made out of some sort of I don't know, it's going to be 3 or 4 millimeter foam, very durable foam on it. And it is a really interesting flyer because it includes several modes of stability electronics in it as well, even to the point where you can put it into a hover, flip a switch, and it'll hover hands off. So it is, and the transmitter itself has a USB connection, so you can go into the little transmitter and change the settings using a PC or a cell phone app. So it's quite high tech for what you get, and it is an amazingly good little flyer. I had a lot of fun flying it. Very durable, and of course very practical. You can basically keep it in your car in this nice little case if you want to fly it anywhere, anytime. And even on some fairly breezy weather, it was quite good because it has stabilization in it, just regular gyro stabilization. So I had a lot of fun with it. I banged it around a little bit. It has a surprisingly long run time on, I think it's like a 600 milliamp hour battery pack, 2-cell. And so that I have a review coming up in the next Park Flyer, as Matt mentioned. And you can see some nice photographs taken by Lee himself. And that's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got.
I have to say, and look, the airplane's cool. I'm sure it flies great. I'm a sucker for a great carrying case for anything. Oh,
yeah.
And
yeah,
during the pre-show, Fitz was showing us that case. My jaw was on the floor. It's I've never seen oh yeah, I'm just gonna stow my airplane away in a nice little carrying case with a shoulder strap and hang it. Come on, what are we doing? This is amazing.
It is awesome. Perfect travel companion,
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I was amazed too when I got it. I was like, wow, this is much nicer than I expected. So, and
right.
it stays in the case. It's easy to take apart. I think there's 4 or 5, no, maybe 6. There's 6 little half-turn screws that you pull the wings off, you pull the tail off, and a couple of clevises for the support struts, and that's it. It's real easy to do.
Nice.
Really, really easy.
Well, as I mentioned, that's going to be in the upcoming issue of Park Pilot magazine. Should be hitting mailboxes later this month, I believe. I'm looking forward to reading that article for sure. I hope you guys are as well. One of the other things that I certainly want to talk to you a little bit about, Fitz, as Lee and I have discussed many times on this show, probably ad nauseum, probably making everybody sick to death about hearing it, is I'm a big space nerd. Lee's a big space nerd too, right? Yeah, okay. He's nodding his head. That's fair.
Well, this is a final frontier.
And I can't even be mad at that. One of the things that Fitz, I always sticks out in my mind about you is the club you belong to, and I think you said you're actually the VP of that club right now. Is a club that flies at the Johnson Space Center.
Yes, we're actually.
Can you tell us a little bit about your club? Yeah.
Sure. The Johnson, it's called the Johnson Space Center Radio Control Club, JSCRCC.com. We have a website. You can take a look at some pictures and stuff. It is a radio-controlled club located on the actual facilities of the Johnson Space Center here in Houston, Texas. So you actually have to go inside the Space Center. There's a guard gate you got to go through, and there's a picture of it there now, and that is looking down. It's a busy day, maybe one of our events. Here, southeast Houston is NASA basically, and there's an aerial shot. And this was an old reconstituted, I believe it was a radar test range. Now this dates back to the Apollo era. This club has been in existence for a long time.
There's the Saturn V prior to the buildings. This is an older photo.
Wow. Oh yeah, you can see it's outside. Yeah, so yeah, there's rockets. Sometimes in the videos I take out there, you can see the rockets in the background. And the club actually has an interesting history. There are some pictures there. It was known for its astronauts have flown there as part of the club. Some prominent engineers have flown there. One of the most famous one is I believe his name is John Kiker. Remember correctly? Yeah. And he came up with the idea of putting the space shuttle on the back of the 747. So in the early days, that might be Kiker's there on the right. In the early days of the space shuttle, when they were designing it and developing it, they were thinking, hey, how do we get this thing back if we can't land it in Florida? And so I believe that's Vector's a model of the space shuttle, and Kiker and the gentleman on the left, I think that's, I forgot his name. Another, I knew him. Ostriker? No. Terrible names.
No pressure.
Both those guys are fascinating. One of them died relatively recent. Kiker died some long ago. I never met Kiker, but I met some of the guys. Some are still alive that were part of that development program. And NASA initially pushed back on the idea of sticking the the space shuttle on top of a 747. They apparently thought it wouldn't work, it'd be too heavy or stability or something like that. I don't remember the details. And so what they did is Kiker said, well, I'm a modeler. Me and my buddies will build a flying model of a 747 and a space shuttle, stick it on top, and we'll test the concept using real models. And that's exactly what they did. They built a model 747 scratch built with twin glow engines on it, and they built a rail-controlled space shuttle. They stuck it on top. I forgot what scale it was. It wasn't super huge, but it was a good size. And there's film of it. They flew it. They crashed it a couple times, getting the bugs worked out. But ultimately, they were successful and proved to the NASA management to say, hey, this will work. You did the little tweaks to the 747 design for stability, and you've got a carrier. And they worked out the numbers. And that 747 model still exists. It's now is part of the display in a 747 here at the Space Center at the Visitor Center.
The 747.
The actual 747, they used the Experience shuttle. They brought it here in pieces and assembled it, and they put a mock-up space shuttle on it. You can go inside, you can see video of them flying the model. So that club has a long and storied history, and it's hopefully we can make it a mark in the AMA's list of clubs. I don't know what you want to call that.
It's great. I like flying there.
I should point out the model that you were mentioning that's on display there at Space Center Houston is on loan from our National Model Aviation Museum. I remember Michael Smith, our museum director, taking it down there to when they were putting that exhibit together, and there was a whole party that they threw on for the opening of that exhibit, and it was so cool to see that in that environment, inside that aircraft. That's such a unique piece of history, and I love watching the video. So we've got those videos over at the museum as well of him flying that initial model to kind of proof of concept that this would actually work, and it's really an amazing feat.
Yeah, I want to thank the AMA for loaning it to us. They have a really nice display for the model there. You walk up and it has some literature and there's the posters and things. They have that video running on a continuous loop. So you walk up and you can see it flying around and stuff. And the model is just neat. It's a time machine. It was built in the mid-70s. So it's got, I don't know, K&B or something engines on it that's not even made anymore. The plane, it's actually fairly nice model for something that was just supposed to be a proof of concept. I mean, they could have just hacked together a really crude looking 747, but it actually is a really nice looking model for being, just a test subject.
It's almost like he had some insight that was something that needed to be want to be preserved for many years to come.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure talking to those guys. Sadly, some of them have moved beyond the rim, so to speak, including some of the gentlemen in the picture. But a few are still around. One of them still is active flying, and I talk to them every once in a while about what it was like back in those days, at the bleeding edge of testing these kind of things. And they were, they didn't really think they were making history per se. They were like, we just thought it was a good idea to do it, and we went off and did it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lee.
I was just going to say, I'm glad Fitz is part of JSC because I kind of met Terry and Fitz because they were members there, and I like to rub it in though because in the '70s I got to fly model rockets out there right next to the Saturn V. I don't know many people that had an opportunity to do that, but it was awesome, because like one of the rules they gave you in competition was try not to let your rockets land on the Saturn V.
Don't let your rocket land on the rocket, on the big rocket.
To me, that seems like an achievement if you could make that happen. But that,
Yeah, really, you get a special mark, a little tag, say, "Hey, bullseye." Yeah. But I should mention that there is a model rocket club still there as well. Out in the field.
Yeah, and I was going to say, guys, if you go to his Hobby View channel, I'll bring that up again, too. There have been a couple of times I've been out there. And, of course, if you're familiar with Fitz, he does all these review videos. This is his Hobby View channel on YouTube. But I've recorded out there for both Fitz and Terry on some model reviews. So you can probably look and see the flying site on these videos. It's a really cool location. And just to plug our buddy Terry, my first aero tow experience was with Terry Dunn out at JSC. So a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, we did have a question that came in. This was something that I probably should have asked from the start, and I didn't, and I take full responsibility for that. John Rusker.
I don't know where the aliens are. Sorry.
Well, now I quit. I'm out. Trust me, that's going to be a conversation one day. I'm just saying. John Rusker asked, he said, Fitz, when and how did you get into RC aviation? I think that's a great way. This is where we probably should have started the conversation, but it's a great time to bring that up now.
Oh, that's okay. Better late than never. I've always had an interest in RC since I was a wee lad. But being a wee lad and no money, it had to wait. So I did other modeling activities, but it really started, how did I first get it out? Hell, the first RC airplane is an interesting story, is I had an interest, but I didn't have any RC planes. And I just started working in high school. So, I got a part-time high school job. And I had a shop teacher of all things that was into RC, and he knew I was into RC. Well, I was into models. And he said, hey, I'm going to a model show, and you guys are welcome to come along with me to go down to this model show, RC model show. And this was the RAM show in White Plains, New York, because at the time I lived in Connecticut. And I said, well, that sounds neat. Yeah, sure. And so me and a couple of the classmates, he piled into his car and we drove down to the RAM show, which was that was like a religious experience at the time. We're talking very late 80s at the time. So it was just awesome. And they had a swap meet section, and there was this RC airplane. It was called a Pelican. It was a low-wing polyhedral aircraft with an Enya 09 in it, and it was being sold for like $50 or something. And I saw that. I had $50 bulging in my pocket, and I just had to have it, so I bought it. And that was my first RC airplane. And I ended up eventually going to a hobby shop, saving some money, getting a transmitter for it, and working out the bugs and getting it ready to fly. And then got the engine running, because I had played with Cox engines for a while, control lines. So I was familiar with getting engines running, but I never had an RC plane. So that was my first RC plane. And I ended up having a incident in a school parking lot. And that poor little plane smacked into the side of a school wall. But that didn't stop me. I ended up getting some other airplanes, and eventually culminating in those also met not so glorious endings until I said,
Viking funerals.
Yeah, almost. I finally came to my senses. I need something a little bit more my speed. So I built a Gentle Lady glider, my first RC kit. that I built Gillows models before, so I wasn't totally new to building aircraft, but it was the first one I actually built it, I think, on my bed in my room, covered it badly, but it was enough that it flew, and so I could go to a hill, and I just chucked it off the hill in small steps, got to know the controls, chucked it further and further. When I got bored of that, I stuck a 049 engine on it, and I literally flew the wings off that thing. I learned how to fly with that until I snapped the wings in half doing barrel rolls with it. Then I realized, hey, I think I know how to fly now. And I went back to some of the older planes and flew those. So that's how I got started. I actually taught myself to fly. I don't recommend that because that's a good way of destroying your planes, but I'm kind of hard-headed. That's why I've got two heads, because I'm really hard-headed. So it's been a very fun adventure learning to fly. I love the hobby, and I've been in it for a long time, and I've been an AMA member for almost as long as that. So yeah, that's how I got started. Hope that answered the question.
That was awesome. Yeah. So we got another question in here from a friend of the show, Ronnie Espol. He says, Fitz, do you think free flight and control line are still good entry points into model aviation for youth? That's a great question. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yes. In fact, that was my gateway drug into model airplanes. I started out with control line and free flight. I did control line with a family member. I was really young, probably, 8 or 9 years old. So I was kind of young to do it by myself, but with the help of a family member. He was much older than I am. So control line was the thing when he was a kid. And free flight. He didn't do free flight. He had done it when he was a kid, but it was control line. And I'd gotten a couple of those plastic, fantastic control line models from Cox and Testers and things like that. And I flew those. When I got old enough, I flew them by myself in a cul-de-sac with my buddies. And I actually had a real good time building free flight models. At one point, most of my let's say allowances and lawn mowing money went to buying Gillows free flight models, which I'd build on a tabletop, and I'd cover them badly. And they're rubber powered ones, and they flew badly, but I just enjoyed building them so much. I learned how to read plans and how to use the terrible glue. I used a tube glue from Testers for wood glue. But I just it was just fascinating. I saw aircraft I'd never heard of. It was like, what the heck is this? A Hawker Typhoon is an ugly looking thing. I gotta buy it. And so yes, for youth it's good because it's inexpensive. You can buy a free flight aircraft relatively cheaply. You can learn how to build a wood structure, learn about aircraft and aerodynamics, and put it together with very little money put into it. And they can fly it. They can learn how to trim it, what balance means, center of gravity, warpage, that kind of stuff. And it gives them a hands-on experience to actually build and then fly something they built and have a sense of accomplishment. And then the control line is sort of the next step, where you can still have inexpensive plane that you can fly, but it's on strings, to buy a radio and that kind of stuff. Although nowadays you can buy RC aircraft really, really inexpensively as well. It's very durable. So control line is probably not as much of a gateway as it used to be. But it still can be a lot of fun, and I still like dabbling with control line stuff as well. But it certainly doesn't hurt. In fact, one last thing. I actually, some years ago, I built a electric-powered pusher. It's in fact sitting right over there. Control line aircraft, and I built it because to let kids try it. And there was an aviation event being held at an airport, and so you couldn't fly RC airplanes at the airport. But I thought, well, they can fly a control line. And so I built this thing. I had a simple RC car transmitter with a throttle on it. So it was partially RC just for the throttle, but it was still control line. And I'd be darned if the kids had a lot of fun flying this cheesy foam board aircraft around in a circle. They got a kick out of it.
When we were still hosting AMA Expo out in California every year, we would always invite I believe the club's name is the Knights of the Round Circle, I think was the name of their club. It's a control line club, and they came out and would do control line demonstrations for folks all day. Like, people come out and try control line for the first time. And I was just amazed at how many kids would go up there and try it out, and you could just see the look on their face. They loved it. It was just something you just didn't really expect, but man, they just had a blast with it.
Yeah, getting dizzy is a free high, man.
That's not wrong.
But Matt, I'm going to tell you this because I think Fitz will laugh with me. When we went to the expo and we were walking the facility, we saw the gentleman flying control line, and we watched this poor gentleman. He was in that circle for a while, and he was like waving, says, "I need someone to come in here." And sure enough, someone ran out there and helped him. He just laid on his back and like, "Okay, I got to catch a breath here."
I have to be honest. I've never tried it.
Really?
Not because I haven't wanted to, I just haven't really had the opportunity to do it. But I would anticipate that when I do try it, I'm gonna fall down. Probably pretty hard.
Get with Kyle Jarris. They've got a control line plane there. We did this at Camp AMA. Get longer lines so it'll go a little slower, and we'd had the electric one. But I got to tell you, because bringing it back to Fitz here. When I acquired this Cox Cessna 150 kit that I had not flown control line forever, I grabbed my buddy Fitz because he makes fuel for Cox engines. And we sat out there at Scobie and we flew the circles a couple of times. And I was just so glad I walked out not dizzy. I was like, I got it. I can still do this. So, I mean, I've got 3 more control line planes in my workshop to go build. And I think it's great. I think it's a great, for those of you who are listening who haven't done control line, put it on your list to do because it is fun. And grab a friend like Fitz because you need a partner in crime for control line. You've got to have a witness. But it's a lot of fun. So go out there and do it, Matt. If anything, for Nats.
Yeah, for sure. At least once. We'll make that happen. Absolutely. Hey, I want to bring this up real quick. Brett Becker, who is a Top Gun
guy,
just a dynamite scale builder. He wants to know if you're going to be at Small 2023.
Mr. Brett, I actually know Brett personally. I've met him a couple of times. Great guy and absolutely fantastic modeler. And the answer to that is a distinct maybe. I don't know. We've already got a bunch of stuff lined up for this year, and I don't know if I can squeeze it in. Although there's technically 2 smalls. There's a summer one and a fall one. So I've got 2 attempts to be at one. He didn't say which one he was thinking, but I do love small. There's a lot of control line flying that goes on at small, in addition to radio control and free flight stuff. It's actually, if you've never been to small, it is a wonderful little event. And they've got a new field that they just went to this year. Yeah, Lee and I have been out there, and I've been there several times. So it's a great trip to make.
150-degree temperatures.
Well, yeah.
In Arkansas.
It was hot that one year. It was. But last 2 times it actually wasn't too bad. But it's a wonderful brand. It's been around for 30 years, I think, something like that. And it's a mixture of glow and electric and free flight and rubber and all kinds of stuff. And they've got a pod now, so you can do boats and seaplanes too now.
Oh, nice.
It's a new field, so it's really, really cool. So Brett, put in the chat. Are you planning on going out there? It'd be wonderful if you are. I'd love to meet up with you.
Very cool. Well, okay, so let's give Fitz a little break from talking. His voice is probably getting very tired. We're asking him all these questions.
He can go on and on. You think this is 30 minutes? We're going to be here for another hour and a half.
Hey, I'm okay with it. It's fine. Lee, let's jump over to you for just a second because we need to talk about Club of the Month real quick.
Oh, all right.
Would you like to share with the fine folks watching at home who our new Club of the Month is?
I'll be happy to, and hopefully it's already. I had it to post when we went live, but let me pull up my screen here because I got a couple open here. But I'm happy to announce that the Traverse Area Model Pilot Society, also known as TRAMPS, is our Club of the Month. And I just love their field there. I know this is doing a.
It looks awesome.
But
Look
that's
wow.
Geotex runway. Really nice. They have 2 major events. I think I hadn't seen it posted yet, but I think their annual Big Fun Fly is in May or June. So you can check on that. You can also go to our Facebook page and you'll see the announcement there. But their website is traversemodelpilots.com. And
I missed it. Where are they?
They're in Michigan.
Traverse City, Michigan.
Traverse City, Michigan. And it looks like they have a lot of fun out there. I saw some other photos from their way. I think I can pull it up here. Is this their Facebook page? Yeah, so they have a Facebook page, Traverse Area Model Society. And again, I haven't seen their event posted yet, but they have a lot of photos that they've posted from flying out there. Got some kids out there. So congratulations, guys. And they're an AMA Gold Leader Club. As you can, I was glad I pulled that up. It's right there.
Just in the nick of time.
Just in the nick of time. So good job, guys, and enjoy your your honor for the month of January.
So I have two things that I'd like to point out. First of all, you said that's a geotex runway?
Yeah.
Man, that's a nice looking geotex runway.
Yeah.
My first thought was that they've got a big old asphalt runway out there.
Yeah, and from what I read, it was geotex. So if I'm wrong, you guys can correct me.
No,
but
I believe it. But that from that view, or that aerial view, that looks great.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to point out, and I always like to point this out when this is the case, is their website's fantastic.
It is good. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
You know you guys are doing a great job with getting your name out there and promoting yourself. That's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't say circa 1995 at the bottom.
I have come across a few, none that we've shared here, but I've come across a few where it's been like, this is still an Angel Flyer, I think.
Yeah. And while I have some attention here, and I'll give Fitz a little bit more time, another thing that we're promoting, because it's the beginning of the new year, is this whole winter flying event that people do. We had in our AMA This Week newsletter, we requested people to tell us what they do for New Year's Day or their last flying, into the new year. And we did pick a club that we liked that submitted photos back to us through the email, the Pikes Peak RC Club. I think it looks a little chilly in that background photo. Wouldn't you agree? just a little cold. I don't know about their density altitude there, but I'm sure it's up there. But we also had a post on our Facebook page, and I just thought I'd scroll down real quick and show that we had a lot of clubs just share their photos with us about their New Year's event, and some of these people have been doing it for over 20 years. Their annual event to fly on the first day or into the new year. I know some people do night flying. I don't have those photos here, but yeah, we have another big group here. It's cold up there in Wyoming.
Ooh, boy. I don't know, guys. I like my fingers.
I mean, this guy's not wearing a jacket, so can, I guess. Yeah. So
you haven't lived.
I feel like he's cheating. It doesn't look very cold there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You haven't lived until you spilt glow fuel on your hands in the 20-degree weather.
Wow. Well, anyway, thanks guys for submitting those entries. We're still getting some in, so I know that in the next newsletter for next week on AMA This Week, we'll have a follow-up with those who submitted photos and stories. So take a look for that in your email.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such a cool story. It's since I've been in the hobby, I've always heard about the stories of people going out and doing the New Year's Day flights, and that's dedication, man. It really is.
There we go. So thanks, John.
Yes, thank you, John, for confirming that for us. It's a beautiful runway.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Kudos to them. That's awesome. Fitz, have you ever done a New Year's Day fly event?
I don't know about an event, but I'm sure I have flown a New Year's Day at some point, but I can't specifically remember. I did fly New Year's Eve this past year, but not day. The weather was kind of bad this year.
Of course, I also have to remember you're in Texas, so it's not really all that cold.
Yeah. We typically have short sleeve weather a lot of times.
It's funny he says that, but he forgets the whole Texas freeze, last year.
Yeah, what was it, like 28 degrees, something like that?
Well, the one that shut us down for over a week.
I know. I'm being facetious. I'm sorry, Lee.
Yeah.
So, Lee, do you have any questions for Fitz? I'm getting my notes organized here.
Oh, I do. Fitz, you and I are doing something tomorrow, and I thought maybe this would be for an article. Is this correct?
Yes. So there's an article I will be submitting very, very shortly for a build review, and it is of the Minimoa glider from Hobby Club. And the Minimoa is a mid-30s, 1930s era glider. It has a real distinctive gull wing to it, and it's a really, really interesting and distinctive looking glider. And I've just recently finished building it over the holiday, and Lee and I will get together, and Lee will graciously snap off some photos of it, weather permitting. And
there was a threat involved, but we won't go into that.
Yeah.
Some blackmail.
Something about puppies, and anyway. I'm putting the finishing touches on the article as we speak, and just needs a few shots. We tried. Weather here has been really wonky, and I had a photo session earlier, and it just didn't work out that well. So I'm trying to get another one squeezed in at the last minute. And so I have flown it a few times. It's a very interesting and neat flying glider, and it will be a build article at some future point in model aviation.
I think it's kind of fun to introduce something else about what Fitz is doing. We talked about control line, talked about free flight. Well, here he is. We're going back to the old school. This is how I got started. This is a high start glider. This is something he. I think I got it for you. I mean, we worked together with Scott Black from Skybench Aerotech to get a high start for your two gliders. So that'll be fun to watch. I'm actually thinking I might pack my Golden Eagle in the car and go out with you. Maybe get some flying together.
Oh yeah, get some high start action going on.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting kit. This was a kit, I should mention. This was not an ARF or anything like that. I got a box of wood with instructions to make airplane, and so it was. So it was, tab A at the slot A B C D E F G H I J K D /
Make plane fly.
Yes, and so it has very intricate laser cutting, so it's very, very fascinating kit to put together. So I look forward to sharing some of the pictures in the article. So it was a fun build. It was very neat. It took a bit of building because they got a lot to it, but it's done and it's ready to go. So
did you already mention it's like
tuned.
9 foot wingspan?
No, 109 inches, something like that. Just 8 foot ish.
Yeah.
I don't know. My math brain is shut down for today. So
my math brain shut down 20 years ago. I'm just saying. So let me ask you about this. We talked a little bit about this off air. You were telling me a very interesting story about a flight that you took, and a very interesting thing happened where you guys are turning it into an article for Model Aviation. Give us a little tease about what this story is about, because I think there's going to be some people very interested to hear about it.
Sure. So a long time ago in a flying field far, far away, circa last year.
Well, I want to show everyone what the aircraft is as far as what it's supposed to look like. Well, let's lead in with that.
Okay. So on your screen here, top center, is a Baumann Voss BV-141. And yes, this was a real aircraft. This was a German observation aircraft built by the Baumann Voss company in World War II, and which saw some limited service on the Eastern Front. And it was designed like that to give really good visibility to the pilot and observer. And I have a model of it. This was believe it or not, an ARF with a fiberglass fuselage and an 80-inch wingspan. And this is an electric plane with a roughly 30 cc size equivalent motor, and it normally uses 2 4-cell batteries in series for 8-cell total. And so here you see a picture of it with the part of the canopy missing, because I was flying it, and on the left side there, I was flying it around at the field at the flying event, and I decided to get a little frisky with it, and I was doing some loops and rolls. It was actually quite aerobatic. And I was doing some sustained inverted flying, and I did a pass. I did like a 180 turn, and a piece flies off, basically. I said, oh man, I think my canopy flew up, because this has happened before. The canopy is the way it's mounted, is a little hokey, and I freely admit that. So I rolled it upright, dropped the landing gears, got electric retracts, and proceeded to do a quick pattern and land it. And it flew a little kind of funny, but the canopy's missing, so that's not unusual. And so I brought it into a nice touchdown, and it rolled to a stop. And I noticed I had no control. I couldn't taxi it back, and the servos weren't moving. So that's odd. Maybe I ran out of battery. And so I walk up to it, and this is the picture I took when I walk up to it. Basically, it looked like that. And you're probably wondering, you say, what's the big deal? But if you look at the center left, you see a blue patch. That blue patch is where the batteries go. And there are no batteries in it because the batteries fell out while I was flying. Also, I should mention that those batteries power everything. There's not a separate receiver battery pack. It's a BEC circuit set up on there. So when those batteries went away, I should have lost all power to the radio and servos, but I didn't. And I was able to fly it, controlled flight to a landing. And so we were scratching our heads about that and how that would work. And so you will find out when you read Terry Dunn's article on what exactly happened, because we have an answer. from
or
very
I mean,
technical
I'm just
people.
going to put this out there. We talked about this on our last or most recent podcast for RC Roundtable. It'll be on our YouTube channel, so you can watch that. It'll probably be available tomorrow. And we talk about it. But again, Terry's going to have a nice article from Model Aviation, and it's very intriguing. And as a witness to being there and seeing Fitz's face turn around going, I should not have a plane right now. I mean, he was like,
Yes.
there's something crazy going on. Somebody help me out. And it was, and it was great because it struck up a great conversation during during the event, during Best. We were all pondering what it could be. We all came up with our ideas, and I think some were actually pretty, good, like mine. But anyway, I digress. It was very interesting, and we just couldn't stop laughing. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't you win a technical award, Fitz? Wasn't it the best technical achievement award at the event, and you won that?
I won something. Yeah, I forgot what it was.
I'm pretty sure you won best technical achievement for landing a plane without 8S batteries.
Yeah, because all kinds of things should have gone wrong. Because I lost a good chunk of weight, so the CG should have been way out of whack too. But it was pretty amazing.
I'll put this out there. There's so Kyle Jarris, he's our education director here at the AMA. He put a comment, and he speculates that it was capacitors. I don't want you to verify either way. That was going to be my guess as well. I'm going to listen to your guys' podcast this weekend to find out what the answer is, and also read that article that Terry's going to write. So, but for the record, that is also my theory. Just put it out there.
Well, stay tuned.
Stay tuned indeed.
But interesting things surround Fitz, that's for sure.
But the chat's gonna be pissed off. What, you didn't tell us? Well.
So, Fitz, before we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you real quick. I know that you're somebody that likes to do a lot of different kind of projects. I know you've done projects about. Well, you built. Forgive me. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I don't know the name of it. The dog from Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, K9.
K9.
Yeah, K-9. Yeah,
there we go. I'm going to pay for this
K9.
later for sure. So I know you do.
Take your head off.
I know you do lots of different kind of interesting projects like that. I'm curious, and I didn't ask you this beforehand, but what's on the horizon for you? Do you have any projects in the works that you're thinking about? Maybe you've already started? Anything you want to kind of throw out there for us?
You mean like in the vein of K9 or something not necessarily model related?
Anything that you're excited about.
Well, I'm going to throw this in there, and I hope it's because Fitz and I got our plans solidified for Jonal, because I think a lot of people would love to come see Fitz out there. We're really hoping to make this a longer trip, bring in the trailer, bring in bigger planes, and so we'll really get to hang out there and meet a lot of people. So if you're following Fitz and you like his YouTube channel and so forth, I'm hoping that'll give you guys an opportunity to see what goodies he brings out to this event. No pressure, Fitz.
No pressure. Well, so I do have one other big project. This is a multi-year project because I'm weird like that. I don't have enough things to do apparently. So
I know what he's going to talk.
I have in front of me. You can't see it because it's on the other side of the garage. I have a 1982, technically 81, but 82 DMC-12 DeLorean that is in great need of restoration.
You okay, Matt? Wait, Matt was just about to pass out. I'm just saying he's just frozen solid. And what the heck? Yes, you did hear it right. Fitz has a DeLorean.
And so that is a restoration project. And the ultimate goal is to take that piece of crap engine that's in it out and stick in a nice electric motor and associated batteries and make it an electric conversion.
Doc Brown would be so proud.
That is a long-term goal. I built an electric motorcycle some years ago before, so I have a little bit of experience with electrified vehicle, and it worked out better than I thought it would. And I used it to ride to work quite a bit. I took an old what was that? A Yamaha FZR 600, I think it was, and converted that to electric, and it was a lot of fun. So
right.
So there's my off the wall model related project. You asked.
I absolutely love it. Brett, thank you for that comment because that just made my day. Yeah, that's fantastic.
We're looking for one, Brett. Fitz and I have been going to swap meets and trying to find that Futaba radio.
I looked it up. I found out what the model was. I don't recall what it is off the top of my head. But
Did you get one?
I have one.
No.
You got one.
I could go pick it up if you got a
you
second.
didn't tell me.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. Well, I knew we were both looking for it, and we thought we'd found one, or we did find one. The price just went through the roof, and Fitz is gone. But yes, Brett, you did this, so there you go.
Wonderful reference.
Here it is. This is the right model transmitter.
Look at that.
That's it.
Futaba, forgot what it's called. Was T8GS SGA, whatever. It's not 100% accurate. When a person I got it from uses the wrong gimbals, I got to change the sticks; they're a little too long. But other than that, this is the same exact model with it, and you can get all the instructions to build the add-on, the greebles, the display. You can 3D print the housing for it, and people have actually hunted down the actual numbers and part numbers for the switches and whatever else they used in the movie to make all the parts that he added on to the thing and make it work.
It's like the people who grab the flash tubes to make lightsabers.
Yeah,
exactly. It's amazing what the internet, the weaponized autism, as some people lovingly call it, that you can find out, what tank pieces did the modelers use on a Millennium Falcon. There are people that will have diagrams that says, this is a Stuggerschutz, this was a Sherman, this was, it's all on the internet. The internet's the greatest thing in the world and the worst thing in the world, but the greatest thing in the world.
I know I've watched some documentaries. There's actually one really good one, the name escapes me now, of the folks that spend their time remodeling their DeLoreans to look accurate to the movie. With all the extra bits and pieces attached to it, and the lengths that they go to find the specific things that were used to make the specific parts. It doesn't surprise me that there are those schematics out there for sure.
Oh yeah, they're guys. And it's funny because you imagine when they made the movie, they were like, we just need some odd-looking things. They go to a junkyard, picture some random stuff, never knowing that people was going to, freeze frame every little thing, trying to find out what was that. And like, I don't know, we just went to a junkyard and picked up a bunch of stuff.
Wow.
The only thing about when you make your DeLorean into a time machine, it's a little bit. It's a lot invasive. You got to drill holes in the fenders and that kind of stuff, and it's really it's sort of a one-way thing. Once you do that, you're committed. But I thought about making like a low-budget, cheap version for like Halloween. Just a few things. You can kind of make it sort of look like the movie enough for the average person to say, hey, that's from Back to the Future, without having to drill holes and that kind of stuff. Just stuff you can stick on with magnets or whatever. Well, stainless steel, I don't think that's magnetic. But anyways,
I think what you should do, Fitz, is you should start a GoFundMe and have categories where people can donate money or fund your DMC gift cards at there. By the way, for those of you who don't know, the warehouse, the manufacturer for DMC is in Houston now. And they have all the parts. They went to where were they originally from? Do you remember, Fitz? Where they were stored? In what foreign country?
Well, Ireland, I believe. Yeah.
Was it all Ireland? So they're all shipped. Everything is now here in Houston. So you need to get, Fitz on a gift card list and have people fund you parts, and then they can put their name like somewhere in the car, Sharpie or something like that.
Oh yeah, excited. Daddy needs new carpet.
there you go. But that's what Fitz needs. He needs parts for his DMC.
That's fantastic. Well, Fitz, please keep us up to date on that project because that is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, so it's I like to keep busy with random stuff. So mostly RC airplanes, of course, is my bread and butter. That's what I'm usually busy with. But I like to venture off into really oddball things because I don't know, I'm weird like that, I guess.
I mean, what else we got to do? That's kind of how I look at it.
That's true. Yeah, cheaper than golf and better than hanging out in bars and stuff.
Most of the time, it's cheaper than golf. Depends on how deep you go into it.
I will say this probably makes great friends. That's how I got to meet, Gary and Fitz out there at Best, and we hung out, and it's just been a long friendship ever since. It's just because we have such a great passion for this hobby, and look what it turns into. You get a DeLorean.
Well, Lee, do you have any more questions for Fitz before we wrap this up?
No, I'll have them for him tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
I get to spend more time with my buddy Fitz tomorrow. But other than
He's
that,
coming with his big flashlight.
Well, no, I mean,
messages.
This excites me because I had so much fun when you did the Leprechaun and you let me fly the Leprechaun. That was a fun photo session as well. So I'm glad you have some gliders there. So we'll get to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Well, Fitz, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come help hang out with us here on AMA Air. This has been a blast. I've had a great time. Not enough time, frankly, but this has been awesome what we had. Please come back. I hope you would be willing to come back and talk to us some more.
Oh, you like me? You like me? All right, thank you. Good night and burn that bridge. Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Had a great time talking to you guys. Thank you so much for the invite. Thanks to folks in the chat for asking me some really good questions. I really appreciate it. Good to see some familiar faces also in the chat. Like Lee said, we've met some really great people in the hobby, especially in our ventures out into the all parts of the U.S. and hopefully we'll continue that this year and meet maybe some of those people in the chat again and some new people as well. So thank you very much, and you guys have a great weekend.
All right.
We appreciate it. If you want to see some more stuff from Fitz, of course, his YouTube channel is @HobbyView, youtube.com/@HobbyView. And of course, you can also check him out along with this guy over here, and Terry Dunn over at the RC Roundtable, youtube.com/@RC Roundtable. Don't miss out on those. Those are some awesome podcasts that just can't get enough of those.
They're fun, and you get to see Fitz being really relaxed. we have a lot of fun in our show, and I'll tell you, now that we've started to do them live, we record them all now. We have to kind of be good, but it's hilarious at the same time.
Well, I want to thank all of you guys for hanging out with us today on the latest episode. English is hard. Of AMA Air. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you'll be with us on the next episode next month. Lee, thank you so much for being here as well. And for everybody here at the AMA, we wish you all a good day, and we'll see you the next time.
Have a great year, guys. Bye-bye.